We should have recorded that.
I still think it makes note of it.
This
is all being recorded.
All bonuses. Yeah, Patreon bonus.
Probably should, and just tack them on to the end of episodes if we ever want to go back and just kind of partially review old episodes and movies. Something that we realized months later. We can.
I'm done realizing things.
I wish Jeremy was here,
right there.
so he could hear Mike still reeling about Dead Man's Curve, also known as The Curve. Welcome back, Rabbit Troop Sucks. We are back in action, as noted, not with Jeremy, but hi, Jeremy. If you're listening, you are missed today. Today we're coming back with Wizards from 1977. And as always, we are a podcast about obscure, forgotten about, and often overlooked films. I am Paul. Next to me is Collin.
Hey.
Next to Collin is La-Mar.
Hello.
And next to La-Mar, as always, is Mike.
That's right.
Did it in the reverse order today.
I did. I went in a different order.
We're going clockwise.
We're switching things up.
Yeah.
We're switching it up. So, I don't know how this will actually fade in, as we normally have a little banter before we go into the episode. But we were talking about previous episodes, and yes, Mike is still really angry about Dead Man's Curve. But La-Mar, specifically, I have something for you. It's the name alone that I think is going to make you laugh. That often I'm the one tagging a lot of our movies that, I do the social media tagging, usually just the actors' names, etc. So sometimes you just get really down in the cast and you're like, is someone even notable? Just because you can't hashtag everyone, there's a limit on the hashtags. And so sometimes at the very, very end, there's, a really big cameo or something. And, we did the stuff last week. And at the very end, I was looking at this actor and she had a photo in a sea of a bunch of actors that did not have photos. And I thought, okay, well, maybe she's notable. I'm going to open up this. And it said one of the last things that she's notably in is Clown Motel 2.
Clown Motel or
yes,
Hotel? Okay.
Motel.
That
and 2.
All
and
right.
2. Not 1.
Next week on Rabbit Troop.
Wait a minute. She was in both?
I don't know if I wouldn't know.
But she
I
was
just
in
saw 2,
two.
and I
Okay.
just thought, I'm writing that down, that she was in Clown Motel 2. I took a screenshot, yes, and
Yes.
I thought I need to put that in my
Is
notes.
that movie pornography?
It did not look like it. It just looked super low budget. It looked like maybe Cinemax.
Skinemax.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
So kind of pornography.
Well, I didn't really do a deep dive. I was just like Clown Motel 2. That's all. That's all I need to know.
Won me over with the title. I'm in.
Right. Well, we have Wizards today, and I have a lot to say about this. But I asked this question of Jeremy last time, and I'm throwing it right back to Collin. Collin, and this is not to sound like you need to be defensive. Why choose this film? Anytime someone's going to choose a film outside of Mike and I'm always going to ask that. So, Collin, and there's for whatever reason, why choose this film?
I think actually for a similar reason that Jeremy chose the stuff, just working at a video store. It was one that actually I think my dad might have recommended at some point. So we just kind of watched it, and it was one that I instantly kind of really enjoyed. Especially there were a handful of scenes I just really enjoyed, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it actually came up a handful of different times. Like there are posters of it in Spencer's. Like even as while I was in high school, which is 30 years later. So yeah, it just was one of those things that you kind of would keep kind of referencing. It's probably the first cult classic movie I kind of liked.
I could probably almost draw the cover of this movie from memory. It's just like a white background. It's got one of the leads that we'll talk about. He's the red character. We will talk about this. And just is holding a gun and is on a horse-like creature. And that's pretty much the cover. Which really doesn't speak anything about this movie, which is super bizarre. I want to jump into this director. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing the director's last name right. It's Ralph Bakshi. That's going to be my guess. So I did watch this movie. Funny that, Collin, it comes back to you and you're like, working at a video store. So shout out to Jeremy, who's not here. Jeremy, Chesterfield, Missouri is where I rented this movie for the first time. And it's the same Blockbuster. I should say Chesterfield, Missouri Blockbuster is where I rented it. And it's the same place I rented Fire and Ice. Same director, 83. This is 1977. A lot of people probably who like films will know this style. Lord of the Rings, the animated film, same director. And I did not know this. So I knew that director did all of those things, just maybe not by name. And then the last movie this guy does is Cool World.
I saw that.
Which I mentioned to Mike on the side once, I'm willing to totally do for this podcast before this, just because I almost don't remember it. I know a lot of people don't like it. And a lot of the trivia I read with Cool World was he wanted all these things to go in certain directions. And the company's like, nah. Like, I want Brad Pitt to be this guy. And Brad Pitt agrees. Like, nah, he's going to be this other guy. I want people to be named this. No. And so I'm seeing why Cool World could have been more of a disaster. But I have not seen that movie, honestly, since I was a kid. So
Yeah, same. You know, I watched this movie last night, and I had not seen it before. Immediately, I was like, this is like that Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah.
And I looked up, like, oh, it's the same director. And I'm kind of surprised I hadn't seen this, because I like Fire and Ice. I like that Lord of the Rings movie. I like heavy metal, which I feel is kind of adjacent.
Yeah, it seems like maybe some of the same animators and a good portion of the crew, but he's not involved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
one thing is clear about this guy. He loves cartoon titties.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. where are you getting this from?
I feel like this guy really cut his teeth with the movie that I think we're about to mention, Fritz the Cat, which
Yeah,
is that
or
most
Rated
iconic.
X.
Yeah, kind of one of the most, like, the first animated Rated X movies, I want to say, came out
Yeah, probably.
2 years before this, 75. I tried to research the year, I couldn't remember, but it's in the same vein. And when I think about Fritz the Cat, I think about this type of weird animation from Lord of the Rings and Cool World. So I think this guy has his hand in a lot of pies.
Yeah. Cartoon lady pies.
Yes. I like the animation.
Yowza.
I
Is
like
it? Okay.
No,
Yeah. There's a lot to say about the animation.
There is a lot to say about the animation, yeah. It's like 18 different people were animating this movie all at once.
On a post-apocalyptic Earth, a wizard and his fairy folk comrades fight an evil wizard who's using technology in his bid for conquest. That is the trivia from IMDb.
Oh, yeah.
Or not trivia, summary, sorry.
It's a pretty brief summary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, you know, what else are you going to say?
Yeah.
In the grand scope of things, it pretty much just cuts to the point, and that's what this movie is.
Well, so first and foremost, this is our first animated film, so I am super stoked that we're covering something that's animated. I hope there's more animation in our future. I know Mike, and I said this to Collin, that Mike is very, very picky when it comes to an animated film, that he often does not like it. So keep that in mind as we're going forward. But yeah, it's our first animated film. This movie starts off with a little bit of a crawl, an illuminating history, burying of the everlasting strange for world supremacy fought between the powers of technology and magic. And all it's really highlighting that through a series of that and images that through wars, through conflict, through problems, through earth disasters, that humanity really messed everything up. And the world we currently know is over.
Yeah, I right off the bat started having a hard time with this, because one of my least favorite things with movies is exposition.
How do you feel about Star Wars and like old school?
You mean like the original, like the crawl at the beginning?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. One, no one's talking, which I think is better. Two, like, if you just ignore that, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, word crawl was just like 2 minutes, and it sets up everything. This was
We had like
5 minute
we
narration.
had some woman talking for 5 goddamn minutes.
Yeah.
And it was really convoluted and long, and just there was a lot to pack in.
Yeah, there was. Like, the world ended. There were 5 terrorists that nuked the planet, and now what is it?
Like
2 million years later. Like,
Yeah, it's thousands of years. I think it's 5,000 years after that.
3,000 years.
What the way I understood it was that
I think it was like 3,000 years, and those wizards were born after this,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
like 5,000 years after that. I think.
well, like the way I heard it was 2 million years after the nukes went off. Like things started
the way
being.
you heard it. Who's telling you these? Or the fairy folk? Telling
The fairy folk are telling me, yeah. And then, like, this was 3,000 years after the reemergence of, like, the magic folk from before humanity.
Yeah, it's like humanity collapsed. I have like brief math notes, and it was like straight up like So the gist is this. Many thousands of years later, many collapses later.
A lot of shit.
Yeah. So some humans survived. Many became mutants. But the good lands actually flourished in an area. And fairies, elves, and dwarves, the true ancestors of man, were born. And fairies celebrated at that point in time 3,000 years of peace.
Yeah.
So the wizards aren't even born. Then Delilah, this woman, has 2 twin babies, and they're baby wizards.
They're twins, but one looks like a dwarf, and the other is an old man.
Yeah, I bet you couldn't guess which is one is kind and good, and one tortures animals.
Well, also, like, you have twins, and you name them Avatar and Blackwolf.
Blackwolf is badass.
Yeah, Blackwolf is a sick name, but it's like...
Especially if I was like king of the fairy folk, like, I'm Blackwolf.
But like,
you
know one of them's going to be bad. Like, I had twin daughters, Gertrude and Lexus. Like, you're going to get a stripper out of this. Gertrude is the
works either way. Thank you. I was about to say.
Gertie, yeah.
Depends on where you go for that.
She's a magical fairy queen. She probably has some kind of divination or foresight.
Yeah, probably. She's like, this one's going to be a big old piece of shit.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll give him a sick-ass name. Also, was this like a divine birth? Because it wasn't... Or was she fucking?
She's probably fucking.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions. I mean, because then Delilah's not doing well and eventually dies.
She dies, yeah.
So, and you just you really don't know this mother's backstory because you don't know how magical this person is. You don't know really like how this came to be. Like that seems kind of pivotal. I'm sure if this is like a massive book that this is probably fleshed out over those things. But yeah, she dies, and that basically pops the cork of anger off between the 2 twins. And they are fighting, apparently, forever and always, using magic after magic after magic. But eventually, and I love this, Avatar defeats Blackwolf. Apparently not enough. Defeats the brother enough where it's, get out of here. But they couldn't... how do I want to phrase this? They were so equally matched, like good versus evil. But I like this note that it was because of the love of their mother. Avatar has more power. Like it tips the scales. Like he is more angry. And I was like, hell yeah, Avatar. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, get out of here. And, he goes off to Scorch to live for another 3,000 years.
Mm. So I take notes on my iPad, and it kept auto-correcting Scorch to Scotch. So that's just what it's called in my notes.
Scotch one.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, where do you get your scotch in the magical fairy future of maybe 9,000 years?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's true. What does your math put this movie at in the year 10,000?
I'm still counting on the 2 million.
It totally was 2 million.
Was it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do we need to go back to Conan O'Brien? Like in the year 2000?
Yes.
I think if we ever did more like high fantasy films, which I don't know, who knows? Yeah. I guarantee there'll be exposition in the beginning because there always has to be some level of world building in a fantasy movie that you're not going to get in like Judgment Day or whatever.
No, and that's totally fair. I don't like it, and I didn't think it was like there was just so you're talking about like 2 million years of shit, and not a progression that would have been natural for most people, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You mean natural for elves and fairies and dwarves?
Yeah.
I mean, if you had to tell the exposition of this story with this many races and in this much time, I guess they did the best they could.
I kind of like that it's in the future. Like I know you always think of these elf warriors and dwarves and stuff like this. That is many thousands of years ago because they have this rudimentary, weaponry, and we forgot how to use magic, just like in everyone in Star Wars just forgot Jedis were like kicking ass all over the place. Yeah. But I kind of like that. It made me think like, well, what if elves, fairies, dwarves, etc. That was 2 million years later. Like I kind of like that idea. I mean, like who knows?
I agree. Like the post-apocalyptic future aspect of this, I really liked.
Yeah, super weird. In fun ways, I guess, for me. Yeah. Now we're introduced to Necron 99, and he is the classic character that you will see on the cover and the poster for this movie every which way.
Yeah, when I looked this up, when you first suggested it, I immediately recognized the poster, but I had not seen the movie.
I think the poster is actually sort of unfortunate. I
think the poster's dope.
I don't mind it knowing what this movie is, but but I think the poster probably never pulled anyone in the 70s and early 80s. I think the unfortunate, again, yeah, Mike, I think it's a cool image. I think it's just not what people expected this movie to be. And I saw that in some of the trivia that it was like problematic with like getting it out because people were like, "Oh, is it like Star Wars?" And they're like, "No."
Oh boy, no. But it does have Mark Hamill in it.
Yeah, a 1977 movie with Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we learned Necron 99 is just, a cutthroat assassin. And he's going around, and anyone who is going against, I guess, the way of the bad part of the world.
Yeah, he's killing anyone who does or believes in magic.
Yeah, so you see this teacher teaching like little kids, about the ways of philosophy and law and, fairness. That wasn't even with magic, and he just goes in and guns all those people down.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, like right off the bat. I think maybe the sense is maybe this is more family-esque, and that's what I mean about the poster. The poster is just very deceiving.
It is not well. So Necron works for Blackwolf, and when Blackwolf sends him on his way through they live in the part that's still radioactive, the part of the world that's still radioactive, not the fun magical part. As he's leaving the city, there's fairy hookers with their tits out. This is not family friendly.
Yeah, it is definitely not. Yeah, and then he's just going around killing people that he's been sent to, take out. Here's something that I want to know. Not my favorite thing, as maybe Mike has in a mental note. Jazzy saxophone solo.
Honestly, the music in this scene I really liked.
I did not like the jazzy saxophone solo.
That's fine. This movie had and it kind of goes back and forth for me.
There's a lot of funk.
Yeah, some of the music, especially during the battle scenes, this music fucks. But then, when they're in the magic area, it's like
yeah.
Why? Can we?
Know why? You know why?
Yeah, I do. I do know why.
Smoke.
Yeah.
Your love of the Hobbit's leaf has slowed your mind.
Yeah, this movie requires a lot of the long bottom leaf if you've got it.
That wasn't Jeremy's group text to us that if we didn't all drop a bunch of acid while watching this movie, then we failed. We failed as reviewers of this film.
Yeah,
he might be right.
I think this is more of a shroom movie than an acid movie.
Could be. Yeah.
We didn't.
This
say
is
that.
also the first scene where we get real animation. The beginning was just still frame, but now we get Necron 99 just with. He has a gun. This is high fantasy, but he's assassinating people with high-tech guns. Mm-hmm. This is your introductory to artillery of ballistic proportions in the high fantasy setting.
I watch most of the television show The Magicians, which is based off of 3 books that I have not read. And it's a quirky tale of real people getting involved with magic, and when magic's super weird, it becomes super sexual and very drug-esque. It was not for kids, and one of my favorite parts of that show is some, I don't know, fawn runs up and's like, "I'm gonna take you to the king," and one of the girls just shoots him dead. And everyone's like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "Do you not think I was gonna bring a gun into this crazy land?" No. I was like, "Oh man!" I like what's going on with this show. So, yeah, that is just how that goes.
This introducing Necron 99 is actually the posters that I remembered in Spencer's. They have he's overlooking a valley, kind of off to one side, and then there's a time lapse where it goes from day to dusk. To
I love that time lapse. Yeah,
and there's a series of 4 or 5 posters with each.
Oh, cool! With the moon and the sun coming out. I wanted to note that. I didn't write it down, but I did notice that because it's a still frame of him in the front and the back. I just love parts of the animation in this film.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the animation. So when we're seeing Necron 99 rolling around on his horse-like, creature, that's when you see a lot of these thunderstorms in the background. So what they're doing with the animation, very, very much Lord of the Rings iconic moments for me. The animation of Lord of the Rings, that is very similar. That it's overlaid film where it's real thunderstorms, but then animation over it, and sometimes that's not always the case, so that's kind of strange, but it's very attention grabbing. The other thing I want to note is whoever's doing the characters can't be the same guy who's doing the backdrop, right? I think that was something I read. Like, they got blank and blank to do some of the art.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
The backdrop of the movie, these like illustrious castles and like like rolling hills and like the fairy folk villages are incredible.
They look amazing.
Yeah, like the guy or woman or whomever who was in charge of this, holy God.
Right.
Like, etch that on my tombstone.
Yeah.
Like, that is so good.
They should have gotten a referral from that person to do the characters, because then they're overlaid with these fat doofy dwarves.
Some of the backgrounds I thought were super striking. They have like they're done in like like chalk or like charcoal or something, and it's when it's super contrasting to like the village and stuff. I thought was super cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool scenes. I don't want to get ahead of where we're at, so I'll talk about it as they come. But yeah, like the animation in this movie is bonkers cool.
Yeah, so now we're introduced to two elves rolling around the woods, and they're hanging back because they're looking for assassins, and they're looking to see if anyone comes through, and they want to make sure the great wizard Avatar is notified of all things in the land.
This scene also introduces us to the first dialogue between two characters in the movie, I believe, and it's kind of jarring when it comes in. This first 15 minutes of this movie is kind of jarring because you get the animation first time you see that, and then it's the first time you hear two people talking, and it's kind of normal. It doesn't really match the weird animation that you're seeing on the screen. You hear the dialogue, and it's just two elves, are they?
Yeah.
Or the gnomes?
Yeah.
And they're just talking.
We got Weehawk, and I don't know
Dick
if
Whittle or whatever.
Soon
Yeah.
to be dead.
Can't remember the other guy's name.
I don't even know if that person had a
Pea
name.
Whistle.
I think that was it.
No, P. Whittle is later.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And did Mike say Pea Whistle?
Something about peeing.
Yeah.
A lot of peeing. But yeah, so yeah, they're talking about like they have to kind of stay focused because there might be someone sneaking up on them. They got to look for spies. Got to tell Avatar what's going on. And that's when Necron kind of pops out and fucks one of them right up, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because they're literally having this conversation. We got to be paying attention, and who knows who's going to come there. And the guy's right there. It's Necron 99. I'm like, oh my God. And Mike's totally right. He takes out one of the elves like right quick. And this movie, I don't feel holds back on any punches with that. They kill some people pretty straight up throughout this movie, and I'm like, oh my God, like, oh, okay. Like, again, not a family film. Again, that poster, I think, advertises something sillier, and that is not this movie. There are weird jokes throughout this movie, but it is not a silly film.
Yeah.
No. Despite what the voice acting would have you think.
That's true.
Well, I would maybe slightly disagree in that it is pretty consistent in bringing up these like silly scenes. There's probably 5 or 6 throughout the movie that kind of lighten the tone as the story progresses.
Yeah, I mean, but there's always this overlay of something more serious.
Sure.
So, like, that's what I mean. Like, I agree with Collin. There is more silliness throughout, especially when you get involved with like elf magic and stuff, which is kind of fun. So, like, everyone's like drunk off of like elf elixirs and weird elf magic, but they always have these like very serious conversations. So yeah, that's what I mean. Like, even if there's silliness, it's still not for kids. Sure. They just wouldn't understand it. They'd just be like, that's weird. And if someone is watching it now who is young, they'd just be like, this animation is super weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of them gets killed. The other one fucks up Necron's horse real bad.
Oh yeah.
And then
gotta kill
I think like Necron like sprains his ankle or something because he's like limping around for a second. But the other one is this Pea Whittle.
It's Weehawk.
Weehawk.
Who's Pea Whittle?
It's later.
That's way later.
Okay. Weehawk.
I can't get Pea Whistle out of my head.
Weehawk goes back to warn Avatar. Avatar is hanging out with some big titty fairy broad.
We're going to talk about this.
Okay.
First and foremost, Avatar is this very, very short, maybe human-esque person. I'm getting like Avatar is maybe 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
Do you think Avatar, they wanted the voice actor to be George Burns? That's all I kept thinking in my head.
The voice actor for this character was bonkers.
Yeah, it's like
This guy should be smoking a cigar.
he is smoking a cigar.
is.
The wizard is smoking
And,
a
like,
cigar. So it's
literally.
perfectly cast.
Yeah.
He's calling people dames. Like,
Dude, so before I would have never really said this, but there were a handful of scenes where I was basically like, this guy could have been voice acted by Rodney Dangerfield, and it probably would have been okay.
You guys
Yeah,
mentioned
totally.
George Burns and Rodney Dangerfield. They
Yeah.
were way more high energy than this guy. He
Sure.
was
Oh,
more
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this guy's been around for 3,000 years.
yeah, he's
That's
old.
true.
He's cranky.
That's very true.
Yeah,
You
so-
got a mumbler.
So yes, yeah. I didn't mean to cut Mike off, but yeah, here's the room setup. You get this bird's eye view of a really weird crew. You get to know who Avatar is, who again is like a 3-foot wizard smoking a guitar, talking like this. And that's not what anyone expected.
No.
You get not a full fairy, but half fairy Elinore, and what I just established as the Gimp from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Like this dude.
He's wearing like a mask, like
Yeah,
Jigsaw.
Yeah, it's like Jigsaw meets a villain from Zelda meets the Gimp. Like I don't know what happened, but like that's the crew, and
Yeah.
they're just
But this
they're
guy
doing
is,
nothing. They're just smoking and drinking, and that's all they do every day.
So he is Eleanor's dad and also the president of whatever fairy municipality
president.
they're in. Is that correct?
President
Yeah.
Fairy.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess like you quickly establish that Avatar has evidently been, contracted to teach. Evidently, you have to teach fairies to become full-fledged fairies.
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah.
They don't. It's just not inherent.
Well,
so
we meet a lot of fairies later who are
very talented. Yeah.
who are fairy-sized. This is a full-size human person.
Yeah, I think what's happening is, you could be born like into the fairy folk, but you could be turned and taught to become a fairy and obtain fairy magic in a different way.
But why is she big?
Well, there are also, I think, in this movie, different types of fairies. It's like
Okay.
her dad is also human-sized.
Well, I just took it that he was human and maybe her mother was. Maybe this guy's
Well,
raw dogging some little fairy.
I read in a backstory that she tried to go to like some kind of carnival or like fair, and like someone in line was like, "Oh, have you been on this?" And she's like, "Yeah, totally." And then when she got to the measuring meter, she wasn't tall enough, and she's like, "Ah," and then she was really embarrassed, and then went to a Zoltar machine and was like, "I wish I could be big," and that explains that.
God damn it.
She's big.
That pretty much resolves all the plot
yeah,
holes of
there
that.
you go. Perfect. We figured it out.
And then the jaw was like this. The jaw of the Zoltar machine haunts my dreams.
It does.
Like, there's also like very like looming carnival music in the background. It's like bing bong.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only way. You have to go. That was like a spiritual experience. I grew spiritually and big as well. I was like, oh my god, I know what hell sounds like.
Yeah.
Zoltar's jaw.
Well, so speaking of whatever the fuck this president human Gimp character is,
Well, yeah.
we don't get to meet him for too long because Necron pops out and fucks his shit right up.
Yeah, Necron is just like hanging out on a balcony for a while.
Yeah.
Like listening to all of this conversation. You would think you would have more wizardy defenses against this, but apparently not.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, but again, Necron just shoots this dude dead. Like, I was like, oh my god, someone get out the Gimp. Gimp's sleeping. Guess you're gonna have to wake the Gimp up. And they did, and he's dead.
Yeah.
And Fairy Chick is freaking out. With
Oh,
this.
she
Yeah.
goes into Wolverine mode.
I've never
she's-
heard
she's
someone
not
scream
happy.
like this.
But she goes into like claw mode. She is claw because Avatar kills him,
Yeah.
and then she claws his body.
Yeah. And we're treated to some more exposition where Avatar is talking about what the fuck's going on.
Science and technology have been outlawed.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well, and if people are slinking around shooting folks, sure. But yeah, he's talking about the Blackwolf lives where there's still radioactivity. There's an army of frogs and like demons from hell.
Yeah, as Avatar's been doing nothing.
Yeah.
Blackwolf has been raising a huge army, creating an army, raising an army.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say nothing. He's been smoking and drinking in that chair.
He's been living his best life.
Yeah.
He's
With
trying
that
to
big titty
trying to
fairy.
get in on that big titty fairy. But we also find out that Blackwolf is like looking through ruins and find some like old world war shit.
Yeah. So the backdrop of this movie is Blackwolf is basically
Hitler.
Yeah. Well, so he becomes an anthropologist for evil, where he's digging through the societies of the past, which is our society. It would be, in the 70s, but like our more contemporary society. And he's finding all of what later through the movie has deemed who worships these gods and these god products. And you see Coca-Cola machines and all this other stuff. And he has, records and, all weird stuff. We also get introduced to a lot of weird cutscenes. And this is where two soldiers are just hanging around and one is killed. And it's like, they killed Fritz. And I was like, I knew the director did Fritz the Cat. I was like, is this some kind of homage? And that was part of the trivia. But there's a lot of weird in-between soldier banter. And these are, like stormtrooper soldiers wearing like gas masks and, army fatigues and big boots. And these are the villains. And they have a lot of weird conversations. And in this one, they think Fritz is dead, but the soldier is like, oh, no, he's not dead. And then he's like, hey, buddy. And then he actually accidentally shoots Fritz. And now Fritz is dead.
Yeah. He's like, womp, womp.
Yep.
That was a really strange scene. Just all the banter between the soldiers in this movie is...
Yeah, the voice actors for the soldiers were a little rough. I don't know, because there's some heavy themes and like the animation's pretty serious and cool, and then you hear the henchman like, "Go! I don't like this."
I think it might have been the director. I think that might have been the trivia, or like someone. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's you totally know that they really just did it to extend the time of the length of the film a little bit.
There were clearly a bunch of scenes that were like, okay, we're at an hour and 10 minutes. Let's flesh it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Some of them worked, some of them didn't.
Yeah.
And when, we're back with Necron 99 is dead. Avatar's killed him. Mm-hmm. Blackwolf is now doing a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah, he's sitting on a swastika.
Yeah.
Like he's just Hitler now.
Yeah.
The way they kind of allude to that during his speech, he's saying something at the end of it, and then he just slips in a little...
Hitler salute?
Yeah, he slips in a little Zig Heil at the end. You can just barely hear it. I'm like, what is this movie about?
You also see, that as Mike noted, like he's on, the Nazi symbol.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie's not for the faint of heart. I do want to just note, they are trying to make this guy all consumable evil. And so even though if you are watching this, not to make light of this, they're using Nazi symbolism, Nazi slang, Nazi horrific things all throughout, but there is no sympathy for the villain. Like he is trying to become Hitler because he thinks he was truly evil and wants to reenact another Holocaust on this earth. Like he's very direct about that. So this person is a huge piece of shit, awful, evil person. So
they make no bones about that.
Yeah, so like no one's making light about how awful the symbolism is. So just
that's it's treated pretty respectfully.
Yeah, like out of context, if someone heard this like Nazi symbolism, like it is it is highlighting like the past in our current world is so terrible, like, and this is so awful that was a true act of evil. Like they're very clear about this in the movie.
Well, so on the IMDb page, I looked this up before I started watching the movie.
Yeah, one of the pictures.
Well, one of the if you look through the list of actors, one of them is Hitler as himself. I was like, the fuck movie are you guys making?
I get that sometimes in my Google searches. It's like Hitler was in 400 movies.
Yeah, he's like Hitler plays himself. Like, did he now?
Why would you even give someone credit on that on IMDb?
Yeah, like what's purpose did that serve?
I have no idea.
I thought that was really weird.
Yeah. That's not fun. And so
it's not fun.
So we were leading up that how evil he is, and this is such an interesting plot point of the movie that Blackwolf has now. They are under the impression that Avatar is dead. That was the one mission that Necron 99 would explode if he killed. Or got too close to Avatar, and he would do that. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
It was that
4 lights left.
Yeah,
time to strike.
Yeah, so he had sent assassins out to go kill the main leaders of the good lands. So Necron's target was the president, which he successfully killed. The idea was basically just to create enough political upheaval like by having, you know, incompetent leaders of the good lands that they couldn't raise an army to fight to stand against him when he invades next.
But wasn't there like a note that Necron 99 did succeed? He was under the impression that Avatar is dead.
No, it was the president. It was the leaders. Because then Larry, his guy's like, well, actually, we've got four lights left. You've got 4 leaders we have to kill still. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Those guys are all scrubs.
Yeah, like that little...
The big ones are gone.
Yeah. Yeah, the weird alligator that was watching the radio booth
Larry,
or whatever.
yeah.
He came running in. He's like, he did it. He did it.
Yeah. When he's like, because Larry's like, oh yeah, there's 4 more, and he's like, it's not important. And he, you know, totally unleashes on him.
Yeah. I mean, he does give up on this because Blackwolf tells all of the armies and army leaders, you know, I'm going to now tell you all of my secrets. You know, we've all come to this point, and he amassed all of these armies. And he says the secret to war is to creating hysteria, which is fear. And he starts showing all of these Nazi propaganda movies.
Yeah.
Like the successes of the wars of, you know, Hitler and these awful scumbags. And I mean, that's what Hitler did. It was, you know, lots of propaganda.
Yeah.
And now this guy wants to reuse this. And he's like, this is the most effective thing we could ever have.
Right. And he's got like a machine that kind of projects this kind of into your mind almost.
Yeah, I assume a magical projector. It is, we see a projector, but it's like getting into your heart.
So when he shows this to his henchmen, everyone's like, fuck yeah, this is exactly what we want.
Yeah. Which on the reverse later, when the elves see it, which is very opposite.
I mean, that's basically the next scene. Is this where Pee Whittle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's like an elf and fairy unite to fight Blackwolf scene.
Like the contrast of speeches.
Yeah.
It's like propaganding, like showing all this.
Are we talking about the elf trench war?
Yeah, the elf trench war. And like honestly, a lot of the animation here, this is what I really liked when they have kind of they're like shadow background, like soldiers kind of marching with horn. Like it looks super fucking dope.
Great. That's some of the greatest.
Yeah, let's talk about this real quick. So I think they do the animation for his army super crazy. So they established early on that you know, his army of mutants wasn't successful, so he raised an army of undead, and they illustrate this by like rotoscoping, basically like black and white, like you know, King Arthur cavalry raids, and those are like his demon spawn.
It looks so cool.
And it's super cool.
And again, the music here was really awesome.
Yeah, Colin, I don't know if it's totally rotoscoped. I know this like sounds nitpicky. I remember you saying that. So rotoscoping is when you take the actual film stock and like cell by cell, you're like animating over this. But so much of it is like overlaid. True. And so I don't know if there's like a more technical term outside of rotoscoping. Like that, like it makes sense because you're essentially doing it, but seems like a lot is just like 1, 2, or 3 cells overlapped with one another. I really just don't know what that term is, or if that might be rotoscoping as well. Like
I'm not
dope.
Technically,
but it's totally awesome. Yeah. I mean, it really is kind of frightening. There's moments when these demon armies rise up and you're just like, oh my god, like you're all dead, you're all gonna die. like this is the nightmare that will consume you.
Well, I mean that's effectively what does happen. Like the fairies and the elves are in the trenches.
They're ready to kick ass. And we see the dope animation of the Hell Army and the funk.
There's some dope funk. But then Blackwolf turns on his magic Nazi projector, and all of the elves are like, it's like mentally disturbing. Like they just can't process the violence that they're seeing. And while they're freaking out about this, they're just getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
And it's genuinely pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And the propaganda footage is real footage.
Oh yeah.
Nazi footage,
that's where Hitler comes into this movie. Yeah.
Just to mention it.
Yeah. Like, and in kind of their defense, of all of the war footage out there, there's brutal stuff. I think kind of what they chose to relay this was correct.
Yeah.
You know, like stock war footage, not necessarily like the worst of the worst.
Yeah, it's the standard stock explosions and footage of tanks and airplanes and stuff.
But while all the elves die,
meanwhile the elves are dying.
P. Whittle.
Avatar has changed Necron 99 into what we will now reference as peace. He has reprogrammed him, and I don't really know exactly how that worked, but he is now just like a different person, sort of, and he is an ally, but Avatar also refuses to leave. He's like, I know the world's crap, and he says, I'm too old. Let me know when the world explodes. Dope.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this shit. And then he goes to bed, just rolls over, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
I don't think he just goes to bed. Isn't this where the fairy gets on top of him and he's like, can't you just like stay on top of me for the next like 5 hours?
He's really
like,
lazy.
and she says, okay.
Yeah, he's like, let me think about it while you just sit there.
Yeah, okay.
It took little, God damn, what's this elf's name again?
Weehawk?
Well, yeah, it took Weehawk to get him up and going, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Weehawk would be totally an inconsequential character, except they threw a little bit in some line of dialogue where Weehawk actually works for Avatar, so they have like an established.
That's what I thought. So at the beginning, didn't Avatar? What I just thought was his like scout, and
Exactly,
he just worked for him.
Sure.
And Elinore, with her, I'm going to stay over you, straddle you on this bed tactic works because Avatar agrees to go. And you've got a crew. You got Weehawk, Avatar, and you got Elinore. And the first thing Avatar starts complaining about is Elinore isn't singing and says, "This is the reason we brought you." And then she sings a song. I love it.
My note here is this song sucks.
My note right before that was external exposition number 3.
Yeah. Why can't we win? They have weapons and technology. We just have love.
Just got love.
That's why we can't win.
It's not a long song.
No, well, thank God for that.
Yeah.
The next scene was really weird for me.
With the priests?
Yeah, well, the priests. We had like the two dumbest, like, duh, hey, we got to do something for Blackwolf. And they go and like harass.
That's the voice I've been wanting you to use at a bar when you call people muffin.
Okay. Hey, muffin.
Boom.
Okay.
And just remember, I just need an audio recording.
Sure.
We do not need video.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah, if
You just,
could,
click on your phone to record. I'll order a beer and, just pause it before I get punched in the face so you can help me.
yeah, done.
Yeah, they go into like a church and we have 2 dwarves that are like horrible Jewish stereotypes.
Was this the steeple?
Yeah.
Did you open the doors?
Well, that's where you saw the people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Boom.
Just like that.
But they do like a weird little song and dance for these henchmen.
I can note, actually, Mike, they do it for 5 hours because the soldiers say you've been doing this for quote-unquote 5 hours.
It felt like 5 hours. Yeah. And also vaguely insensitive.
Yeah, so their plan was the soldiers now want to have any religious figure be like, yeah, what you're doing is great. And they say this. They say, if we get priests, and that was just like, I took it as a generic term, like any religious figurehead.
Right.
If they are on our side and they're like, Blackwolf is doing this in the name and the voice of God. Like, see, we can't be stopped.
Right. Well, they also had all these prisoners that I think they wanted them to look after, so they didn't have to tow them around. It's not even that
diabolical. It's way more like, hey, because this army, we didn't really mention this, but Blackwolf's army has never been successful. All of the demons and mutants are cowards, and so previously, every time they start a fight, they run away. So they've never been successful before. So this is their first time dealing with prisoners. And so they just all they want to do is pawn off these prisoners on the church. They don't have to deal with them anymore. They can keep going on their war path.
Right.
So I don't even think they mentioned anything as far as like, hey, we need religious figures to help our fight.
No. They did have a conversation. They were saying like, if we could get them more on our side, like this will be good for the boss. This will be good for like other people's views.
I thought it was more like they can get these prisoners off our side so we can go kill someone.
I think this was trying to propel the propaganda machine like at a new higher level. Like, see, listen to your religious authorities. They're on board too. Like the brainwashing will continue.
Well, either way, this scene is super inconsequential because nothing happens. We watch their stupid song and dance routine. The henchmen get tired of waiting. They blow up the church and just leave.
And they kill all the prisoners.
And they kill all the prisoners. Correct. Yeah, like we don't have time for this. No one wants to watch them.
Everyone.
In the end, there was no steeple.
No, no, there wasn't.
So you lost 5 minutes of real movie time and 5 minutes or 5 hours of in movie time.
Yeah. Well, now we're treated to a scene that only exists to show how big of a dick Blackwolf is, because he's got like some kind of fairy hoe that he's bunking up with who's pregnant, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna rule the world and whatever." And she's like, I don't really want to rule the world. Like, maybe just the city would be cool. But he's like, nope, fuck you. And then we find out that she's pregnant with a mutant, and he's like, nope, kill it. I'll try again, because he wants her to birth like a wizard, I guess.
Yeah.
To take his place.
Wizard.
I think they specifically said human, and I
Or
wrote in my
human,
note that probably what they really meant was non-mutant.
Yeah, just whatever else.
What if it's a Ninja Turtle?
They'd have been stoked about that. I would imagine.
He would have kept that one.
Because I mean, they have a lot of frogs around, and they seem to be pretty well respected. So,
And now we're back with the original crew, and they decide that they're going to go into the fairy folk realm, and Weehawk is pissed. Weehawk is like, no. Fairies and elves are like bad blood cousins, and he is not in for this. He's like, they're all about hijinks. And everyone gets super fairy drunk super quick. Elixirs galore, magic galore. Avatar starts casting crazy shit. He's just like out of his mind. Fairies are blown everywhere because he starts coming to a little bit. He's like, oh my god, I'm being bewitched. And then Necron 99 just picks up a gun. Just on the side, just picks up a gun.
I thought it was sneaking off because he was reconnecting with the other group, because I thought there's like frog people in the background. He picked up a gun and he saw him.
well, I think we're meant to think that he's like a traitor.
That's what I was thinking.
Because Weehawk does not trust this fucking guy.
And now...
And he did meet up with. There were other assassins there that he ran into.
I just don't know what happened if he that scene just cut out to what Paul's going to allude to right here.
They essentially all come to in a fairy ring, and it's a fairy ring not of flowers but made of fairies, and they're all sitting around everyone, and we're introduced to Mark Hamill's character Sean. And Sean and Sean apologizes, like, okay,
Sean the fairy.
Yeah, Avatar's super pissed, and Weehawk was never not pissed. I love Weehawk. Weehawk is just a weird character, and Weehawk's like, I'm super pissed, and Avatar's like, hey, like what's going on here? Like,
Hey guys.
and Sean's like, hey guys, I'm really sorry. You're right. There's certain fairy folk who are a little more into beguiling you. We're tricksters. I'm sorry. We're not all like this. And to say we're sorry, you've all of your magic's worn off. It's cool. I prepared this amazing feast, and everyone's gonna dig. Oh, boom! Sean's shot and dead. That's it. The Sean is dead.
You gave him way more lines than he's credited for. I got him down as 3 lines.
I read that he was in it for less than 2 minutes.
I can picture that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so that's one of the reasons I like this movie, that you don't know who's going to live or die. Like, just immediately, it's like, hi, I'm the grand elf fairy of death. I have nothing left. And you're meant to believe that this is peace. No one believes peace is really reformed. And, we saw peace pick up a gun. We saw this gunshot. Sean is dead. Yeah.
All right. That makes sense now.
And Elinore is gone. Where's Elinore?
That was a strange scene. Elinor's just captured somehow.
Yeah, she gets captured by the other fairies who are small.
They're pissed too.
Yeah.
They're small, but they're tough.
So, yeah, Elinore gets captured. And she's like handcuffed to some stone things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is where we see Weehawk. I think for me, this is my favorite scene of the movie. And I could justify just on a personal note why. Weehawk is in this weird, thick, majestic fog. And he knows he's being hunted. And he's like waiting around to see through the fog.
Oh, yeah. Like him and Avatar are working their way through a cave to save Elinore. And he just like falls into a fucking cavern.
Yeah.
And Avatar's like, he's probably dead. I better just keep going.
Yeah.
Well, he tries to cast a spell, and Weehawk's like, no, just go save Elinore. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
Weehawk.
Yeah, but through this fog, this is, La-Mar, for you especially, this is, for me, Don Bluth, Dragon's Lair.
Yeah.
This is like right out of Dragon's Lair. I could watch this scene. This could have been my screensaver.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought this scene kind of sucked.
I just like it. It's like weaving in and dodging. Why did you dislike this scene?
I don't know. Like, he's just waving his sword around like a dick. There's like smoke in the back. He's like, I don't
That's
know.
kind of like Dragon's Lair, to be honest. But
I don't know. It reminded me of those old Nike commercials where it was just like a black backdrop and like the people were like dribbling the basketball.
I know the one you're talking about, too.
That's what it reminded me of. I was like, oh my god. Like,
those were the Air Weehawks.
Oh, yeah.
The air Wees.
Fucking
Damn it. But yeah, I did like the scene.
But we find out that he's swinging his sword around at a big fucking spider.
Yeah, and then Peace shoots it.
Yeah, Peace just like rolls up and shoots this fucking thing.
And
now they're friends.
Well, sort of. Peace almost blacks out and falls almost over a cliff, and then Weehawk is like, I got you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're weird. Thanks for saving me. Yeah, but yeah. I think the more Mike described that, the more I'm like, I want to play Dragon's Lair. That's great.
Also, for some reason, but believe it or not, Weehawk is represented correctly in my notes, except for the next one, which has him listed as Weeshanks, and I don't know why I wrote that.
Was that your autocorrect again? Yeah, maybe. Hawk the Shanks. I don't know if that's going to be a thing.
I don't know.
Well, from now on, he's Weeshanks.
Yeah, he might be.
Have you ever ordered that from Costco? They could probably hook you up.
Was it Weeshanks?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Barbecued Weeshanks.
It's a very rare cut of lamb, I guess.
It's not too rare if you slip the people at Costco a little bit of money.
Or something else.
Yeah, you slip them the Weeshank. And they, wow.
That's how the elves were born.
But, meanwhile, back in Fairy Central.
Oh, yeah, they want to kill Elinore.
They want to kill Elinore, but she's, like, learning how to do magic, and she creates a monster out of stone, and then she shoots, like, a lightning bolt out of her beeve, I think.
Yeah, she's not learning diplomacy.
Yeah.
This might be in my notes somewhere. I can't really remember why they're so angry with her. What's the rationale?
Well, so they know that they think that Peace shot Sean. And they know that he's part of a group, so they're like, she's part of the group that murdered Sean.
That's
right. But yeah, so Avatar finds him, and he does do diplomacy. He kind of talks him down. He's like, you don't have to help. Like, we just want to leave. I'm not going to use magic. And then one of those dick elves or fairies shoots him in the fucking arm.
Which turns out to be a weird test.
Yeah, and he's like, you know what? That's fine. Like, I'll just take this arrow out. I'm still going to keep my word.
Yeah. Like, the Elf King is like, hey, when you didn't kill us or try to kill us when we shot you with an arrow, I knew you were an all right dude.
But I was totally kind of confused at this part because Blackwolf popped up and had, was like, don't listen to him, he's a liar.
Yeah.
And then he gets shot in the arm. Some little elf or some little fairy in the background is just freaking out.
Probably.
Yeah. But also that persuades the Elf King to be like, you know what? You didn't kill us or try to kill us. I don't know what's up with your brother. We kind of trust him because you guys seem like a bunch of a-holes. But since you didn't try to kill us, we'll remain neutral.
They're playing Switzerland.
Yeah, I was like, all right.
But he lets him go.
Yeah, he does.
And then they walk in circles in the snow for a while for some reason.
They don't intend to.
No, clearly.
Also, let's go back a tick.
Okay.
Blackwolf just like apparating like that. I wouldn't trust that. Like, imagine you're at like your dinner table, like, rah!
Yeah, that.
You will drink blood. This dude's cool. Like, that wouldn't be my reaction. Like, I might trust him. It would be like, whoa, dude. Like, La-Mar, didn't I tell you ages ago that I want the Ring Wraith alarm clock?
You did. I remember that.
Yeah, just that screeching sound. Like, I would be so out of bed, terrified.
That would get you up.
Yeah, it'd be every night. It would, or morning. It wouldn't matter anymore. Yeah, like that dude does not roll up well.
Yeah,
No.
there probably should have been some follow-up questions from the king.
Yeah, definitely, because he just penetrates the sanctuary for like a millisecond.
Right, to haunt me?
Yeah,
And
that's
they're all
enough
like,
to do it.
they're like, that guy seems to know what he's talking about. Like, why are they defaulting to that?
He's like the worst evil this world has seen. But he's probably haunting Avatar, so we're probably still fine.
Yeah, no, probably.
Then they teleport him out. Is that what happened? They
Yeah, into the
teleported him
snow.
out
Yeah, they
inside.
teleported him out
Okay,
into
they're
the
like,
snow.
yeah, okay, get out of here. We're going to be neutral. And they teleport him outside.
Yeah, and then he conjures Elinore a poncho.
Yeah.
Was it that or a rain slicker?
It's that or a blanket.
It didn't look appropriate for snow travel.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
He's not wearing socks, so
That's
Yeah.
true.
They don't have feet anymore.
yeah.
There's little nubs.
I don't know if you noticed earlier in the movie when they're all starting their journey and they're riding on those weird two-legged camel horses. Avatar's horse was wearing socks, and his was the only one. I thought that was kind of
Nice.
That's pretty
I
funny.
did notice that.
How
That
do
is
you get
funny.
your camel horse for the holidays? Little socks.
Yeah.
They love it. What do I have some,
So
the
traveling
quest
through the
is
snow.
saved? I don't know why. I
yeah,
have this.
they're wandering around. They realize Avatar realizes they've been walking in circles, and I don't think he tells Elinore. But they run into
Weehawk in peace.
they run into Weehawk.
That's the quote. The quest is saved.
Okay, there you go.
Good, because they're surrounded and they think they're done for, but
Yeah.
it turns out to be them.
Yeah. And then they, there's like a montage of them journeying far and wide or whatever, and then they get ambushed.
Is this based on a book? Is this based on something?
Is it Lord of the
I don't
Rings?
think so. I did very little
Oh,
research.
is it like a graphic novel or something?
Yeah, I mean, just listen. I understand this movie is an hour and 20 minutes in length, and maybe that's a long animated film for 77. Like, I don't really know enough about animation, even in the Disney realm, to remember how long the 70s and 60s, even Pinocchio and stuff.
I don't know.
So it seems like a lot of animation. But yeah, there is a lot of skipping ahead. Like, they went to this kingdom, and then they did this. I was like, these would be chapters in a book. I'm like, oh my God. Like, these are massive adventures that, if you're playing a video game, these are not side quests that they're
Right.
skipping over. Like, they are main plot points. So,
Sure.
but I understand that this movie's short. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of curious. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, there's probably a lot in a book or something.
Well,
but
I mean,
who
the
knows?
beginning scene was someone explaining away 2 million years of history. So,
Yeah.
we got to speed through some of this.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if it's one of those things where he's an artist trying to explore a handful of things, and he, as much as he would love to make this like a 4-hour endeavor, like
Yeah.
the whatever studio limitations.
I
made
think
him
he
cut it down.
grand scaled and like scaled down to hour 30 movie where in his head this could be a 9-hour 8-part Netflix series.
Yeah, he's not doing like Tolkien world build. There's no like Silmarillion for this.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of thought that, somewhere, if this was a massive book, that would be like, okay, this is still impressive, an hour and 20 minutes, that we just have to narrate it down. I love The Black Cauldron, as La-Mar knows. The Prydain Chronicles by Lloyd Alexander are some of my favorite books that have ever been written on the face of the earth. There are 5 books. La-Mar has read the entire book that I have.
I want to thank you for introducing me to this.
This is so great. And Disney was like, hey, you know what we should do? Let's make this. We'll just start with book 2. and then we'll kind of just summarize the rest of the other 4 books.
Jesus.
It is bizarre as hell that The Black Cauldron was banned for a while. It's still kind of like frowned upon in the Disney franchise. The big reason is they summon the dead out of cauldrons, and people are like, no, you cannot do that, Disney. But that movie's super bananas because someone got drunk and read a book once, and like the depictions of everyone is so far off, it's so weird. But yes, if this was a book, sorry to be long-winded, I would like to go back in my life and read it. I'm going to do damn some research. Man, we were the worst podcast.
Very well prepared, very professional.
Just like this movie, we're adding filler.
Yeah. Well, speaking of filler, yeah, they get ambushed by these other elves. One of them has a beard and knows Avatar, and he is crazy as fuck.
Yeah, he's like, we're going to go attack them. We're done with this.
Oh,
I like
the
that. I like this guy.
barbarian fairy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wrote down mother, fighter, lover, which I believe might be something that he says.
He's throwing it. He grabs Avatar by the wrist and just starts flinging him
Yeah,
around.
right.
He calls him mother, father, brother, everything.
Yeah, he's like their Gimli, basically.
Yeah, it's very hospitable.
Yeah, no, he's great. But yeah, they're going to go just on their own volition. They're just going to go work on the Blackwolf situation. And they have all these dope-ass boats.
Yeah, and
guns.
Yeah, and
And
Avatar.
guns, yeah.
And Avatar, and everyone's not super stoked about this. And then a bunch of tanks roll up, and Peace is doing something, and Elinore throws a blade right through Peace.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she fucks him up good. And hops in a tank and pieces out.
Yeah, traitor.
Yeah.
Elinore, no.
Traitor.
Half fairy, full traitor.
Yeah.
The way
hell's
that
going
everyone
on there?
pronounces the word traitor in this movie, it throws me off a little bit.
Traitor.
I mean, if you're going to declare it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it.
Put some emphasis on it.
do you guys, I mean, Colin, did you watch The Office?
Not that much.
Well, Does anyone remember when Michael Scott has to declare bankruptcy?
Yeah, yes.
Oh yeah, I declare it. Yeah.
He learns about
just declare
bankruptcy, and he's like,
bankruptcy.
he's like, I declare bankruptcy.
I've never seen The Office, and even I know.
Well,
Yeah.
scene that
it's
you're
a
talking about.
very popular meme.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
very popular.
Good. You're getting the sweet spots, the pointers. If you don't watch The Office, at least get like the cliff notes, the Cliff's notes of it.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the tank rolls up. Elinore, Shanks, Peace jumps in the tank, and they roll away. And Avatar is just devastated,
Oh yeah, he's all butthurt now.
practically comatose.
Yeah, but he recognizes that he's got a job to do. So him and Shanks kind of sneak in. They pretend to be slaves, and they sneak into the castle because we skip that. They're at Blackwolf's place.
And Avatar, again, does just weirdo magic, and he goes crazy, and he just starts casting flower magic everywhere. He's like, this won't do. And he's like, flowers.
Scorched one can be beautiful too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But I mean, their plan is they're going to sneak in, kill Blackwolf, hopefully, but they have to destroy the machine that projects all the weird war images.
Yeah.
Because as we speak, the legions of Scotch or whatever are fighting all these other boat elves.
Yeah.
And the boat elves are not doing well in this.
Yeah.
Do you think they were raging against it, Mike?
They were raging against it, correct.
Yeah. The party's overall mission was the projector first.
Yeah.
Avatar is more like, this is my fight with my brother.
Yeah. But they
Did the mash?
they did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash.
It was.
Dude, yeah, the fight scene was crazy.
Oh, yeah,
This
they're
whole thing was
building
amazing.
up
The battle scene was dope as fuck. All the war scenes were really awesome.
Yeah. And Weehawk is wrecking everyone's world. He is stabbing, and then he is just ninja-ing everyone. He like throws his sword into one thing and then starts like ninja jumping into some big red monster. Funk music's playing. It's awesome.
I like how I said that. I wrote down medieval funk music plays as
Yeah.
elf barbarians and dark wizard Nazis battle in a scene that I'll put above most Game of Thrones battles.
Yeah, and that's pretty apt. Like that's what's happening.
Why are we not playing D&D after this?
Exactly. I have a lot of wrote down D&D. This is just like D&D. There's a lot of gnomes and fairies and elves. Why are we not playing D&D?
I think the real thing, La-Mar, is we are in D&D and we're role-playing these characters.
Oh, shit.
Look what
Yeah,
you've done.
boom.
Look what you've done.
Philosophy 101. That's your term paper.
Rabbit Troop
Unbelievable.
Sucks is just a lame D&D campaign.
It's the
No,
most awesome D&D campaign, damn
Sorry.
it.
the world is D&D.
Oh,
But we as human beings have been role-playing these lives.
I see.
We're trying to escape the D&D world. The grass is always greener. That's the philosophy.
Yeah.
Except when the projector shows.
That's
Yeah.
the true villain. The
Goddamn projector.
Well, the projector does show, and now everyone's getting fucked.
Yeah.
This
Well-
is the high dosage projector film stuff. This is not the propaganda that was shown before.
Yeah, no,
this is now
the high
tanks,
test.
and
Yeah.
airplanes.
Was it Larry? Is that the green lizard?
Yeah.
Yes. Stabs a Weehawk in the arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but just
yeah.
like a bit.
Larry gets Weehawk down.
Yeah.
And he identifies Avatar as Avatar, so he rolled a 20 on his perception check or whatever.
Yeah.
Nice. We should have played all of this like D&D. Damn it. Yeah. Yeah, lots of funk still going. I got that.
Yeah.
So
Demon army rolling up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of clouds.
I believe
Who gets to the machine? Is it Weehawk?
So
They
Larry
yeah.
recognizes Avatar and
Yeah.
runs back to the castle
Okay.
to tell
Blackwolf.
Blackwolf.
Yeah.
Weehawk is like, that's our ticket. He's going where we want to go.
Oh,
Let's
so they
him.
follow him. Okay,
They
yeah.
follow him.
I got a note where some of the overlay scenes don't make sense. So in a lot of the overlay scenes, which are awesome
Yeah.
usually, especially I noted earlier that there's like armies marching, but they start slowly turning around, and then I think that would be the rotoscoping. They add the red eyes, and you're like, oh my god. And there's like, it's just such this like wave of black and like gloom. But in this one, as the demon armies, because this is now leading to the end, like this is the end of the film, they're rolling up on horses with spears. And I was like, there's no need for that because they've already established they have tanks and helicopters. I'm like, And that's kind of where the elves are at a disadvantage. They're using, I guess, old school magic, which is still dope as hell. But they still have, shields and swords and are more barbarian-esque. And now it's like, well, this new technology and their magic is going to crush you. I'm like, they probably wouldn't have.
Well, they'd been kind of doing that this whole movie, though. So they'd have, like, the mutants were kind of, like, drawn in the way that everything else was drawn. And then the demon army was always cavalry with that, like, this pure black cavalry throughout the thing. So I think that's kind of the artistic distinction between really just what he had summoned from hell versus whatever his mutants were.
Yeah,
Weirdly enough, I always took it as, like, it would culminate into one, whereas, like, hey, weird mutant hell creature, you're going to learn how to fly a helicopter. Like, I'm not even joking. Sure. Like, that I was like, hey, lizard guy, like, you know how to use a hovercraft? You're gonna know one by tomorrow.
I'm actually glad they kept those two animated styles separate. I did not want to see these frogmen start flying.
I would just say, it wasn't that. It was just, like, horses and spears, they should have just still stuck with, like, in the backdrop then. Now just more the helicopters, not a lizard person doing it. It just should have been, like, more technology rather than, like, horses and spears. That was my notes.
Oh, right. Yeah, I can see that.
Like, they're all upgrading.
Mm-hmm. When Larry stabs Weehawk, Avatar snaps out of it and is able to kind of get his head back in the game too.
And going back, like as a action figure aficionado as a kid, I mean, sometimes your He-Man characters had weird tails and they don't fit in the cockpit. I totally get what you're saying. You don't want it then, and you don't want to see it now.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of incompatibilities between He-Man and Transformers.
Yeah, it wasn't a fun time.
No, I think at this point, Elinore shows back up, and she was in a trance, and Avatar's like, "You bitch."
Well, she's talking to Blackwolf's
side piece,
secret lady.
Yeah. So Weehawk and Avatar go in and they find Blackwolf. Avatar is like, okay, I guess this is my final the final battle. You go ahead, Weehawk, and go find the
I want to talk about the final battle.
we will,
because this made the movie for me.
I knew, Mike. I was gonna say this. Just when we can lead there, if Mike hates this movie or did overall hate this movie, I was going to be like, there better be one scene that you like. And I was going to call him out on, there better be one scene.
Yeah, I think, so kind of focus in. Let's do, so they go up, they see Blackwolf. Avatar says, this is my fight. Weehawk, you go ahead and destroy the projector. And then, Weehawk runs along and then he finds Elinore. Yeah. And he immediately starts beating the shit out of her.
That's why I have slut written down.
And then Blackwolf's baby mama comes in, and she's probably actually one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, she's all right.
She's cool.
Yeah,
she tells fool elf. She tells him to knock it off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the secret lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not having it. We're right from the get go. Like, you think you're all fast and fancy? Like, maybe you should think it out. And he's like, oh.
And then he doesn't think. Elinore proceeds to tell him what happened.
Yeah.
Ruin everything.
But yeah, like that's. Does Avatar find out that she was in a trance before or after the battle?
After.
Okay. We can talk about the battle.
Yep. And so now it cuts back to the battle.
Yeah. So Blackwolf notes that Avatar could just surrender. He's like, if you just surrender, we're just after the world. And I just thought, then what was the point of any of this? Like he highlights kind of, I won't kill you if you surrender. Like everyone else will die. And you probably don't care about it, but
not you.
Yeah, not you. And it was like, then what would be the point of it?
Right.
Well, he's been alive for 9,000 years.
Yeah.
Beings that are around for thousands of years probably don't care less about the mortal coil than
time for this shit.
Yeah.
But so like Avatar's like, no, we got to do this. So I'm gearing up for like a high octane magic super fight.
So like Lord of the Rings style.
Like Lord of the Rings style.
Whack, whack. I'm going to shoot some staff magic, and you're going to be blown back and up to the ceiling.
That's what I'm looking for here. Some dope animation, some cool magic. What actually happens is Avatar's like, we got to do this. He takes a fucking pistol out and just fucking shoots him.
Mom showed me one trick that you never knew about.
Yeah,
Well, you weren't around.
He goes full fucking Scott Evil and just shoots him.
He says one more thing. I'm glad you changed your last name, you son of a bitch. As he pulls out the gun from his sleeve.
Yeah. So awesome.
So
awesome.
high-powered magic.
And Blackwolf is dead. He's not
Just
coming
like that.
back.
No. So it's just super dead.
Yeah, just not coming back.
Oh, you saw him twice.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
one
yeah.
in the, you saw him in the stomach.
You got to double tap.
One in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen Zombieland.
Yeah.
That's true. You got to double tap
He's a
that.
wizard. This isn't his first handgun.
Right.
You shoot someone in the stomach. Come on.
I mean, isn't that the old phrase? A wand in one hand and a gun in the other.
I want to mention something before the scene too.
Yeah.
What's under
When
that guy's robes?
when they're sneaking up on Blackwolf, and Avatar tells we Diddle or whatever his name, go destroy the projector.
Wee Diddle. It's Weehawk, everybody.
Weehawk, whatever his name is.
5 characters in this film.
Not counting
He
Sean.
goes up to Blackhawk and he's
Count
like, he's
Sean.
standing right there. He's like, "Hello, yoo-hoo." Blackhawk turns around. He's like, just no sneaking around at all. Just, hey, I'm right here.
Yeah. I get that. I didn't know why I had hello written down in all
Hello.
caps. Hello. Yeah.
And they destroy the projector.
Yeah.
And
They don't
this
show
is
it.
where Avatar finds out, hey, Elinore is not a traitor.
Yeah.
Like she was under a spell. He's like, oh, well, that's awesome.
Yeah. And now he's horny.
Yeah. Conveniently, after kind of killing Blackwolf, the castle falls apart. They didn't actually have to destroy the projector anyway because the castle
Yeah.
falling apart kind of does it for them.
Yeah. It all works.
And all the creatures froze. As Colin noted earlier, all the creatures are cowards.
Mm-hmm.
And, the light came out and they were no longer transfixed to this magical projector. And they just either leave or die. And they just
Right.
crumble, die, evaporate.
It seems like if Avatar or whatever was like, oh, do you guys want to live somewhere without radiation, but there's also magic and fairy tits?
Whoa.
They'd probably be like, yeah,
They're
Why
already
would he
done.
offer any of
that
that?
sounds chill.
Yeah, that's true.
I never got the impression that he's trying to help anyone.
Well, no, he's definitely not trying to help
he would.
anybody.
Yeah, he would not offer hey, we got fairies and we have got booze and cigars and I live in a castle. He's probably whatever.
So thanks, guys. Get fucked. I'm out of here.
He was noted as, when he was a younger wizard, that he did help cure radiation poisoning
Yeah.
for a handful of people.
He
but
was,
he was a young wizard
He was a
then.
philanthropist.
Yeah.
Right. Now he just sits around doing nothing.
Yeah.
I would just assume, all right, he's lazy as hell. Can I just approach you and can you cure me?
Yeah.
You'd probably be like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna sit in this throne and smoke this cigar.
Right. Well, he does decide that he's going to marry Elinore and be the new president.
Yes, they do decide that.
No. Weehawk's going to be the new president.
That's
they're
right.
going to create their own kingdom. somewhere
That's right.
else.
That's right.
Oh yeah, they're just going to go bang it out somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now they impress this incredible amount of pressure on Weehawk to go back to this kingdom and declare himself king.
Yeah. Did they write him a note or something,
Yeah,
or is he just like, guys, it's me now?
He seems
not even-
willing to do it.
Avatar
He's totally
said so.
willing. He's not
Yeah.
even a fairy. He's an elf.
Yeah.
So all of these fairy kingdom people have to
Weird
trust.
relationship between the elves and the fairies.
Yeah.
I'll never get that.
Weird relationship. Remember Weehawk's final words? The final words of this movie. Weehawk's like, "Are you guys gonna get married?" And they're like, "No." He's like, "I forget you're 9,000 years old. You guys are a bunch of weirdos, but you're not gonna get married? No, we don't want that. But you do? I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell a song. Time will tell." And now the movie's over, and that's the song. Time will tell. Time remains tomorrow. I don't know. That's what I wrote, and the movie is done.
That's the same song that Elinore sang when they were montage traveling through the snow or desert or whatever.
She knew then. Time would tell.
Yeah.
It was the song when they first went on their journey.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, and time was telling. I read, I think, a piece of trivia that the director did want to make a sequel, and it was going to be about their hardships, Elinore and Avatar trying to maintain a relationship and build a kingdom.
Oh no.
Okay.
So
Any sequel to this movie would have been terrible.
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
will tell.
Time won't. It won't.
I think the time told.
This guy doesn't have to stop with Cool World. He's bringing it back. Avatar 2. He's reclaiming the name. He's going to fight James Cameron in the face. That's going to be his propaganda machine.
Damn it.
James Cameron's taking it back. He's taking it back, everybody. Well, before we get into our amazing final reviews, as always, feel free to reach out to us at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to go to our website proper at rabbittroopsucks.com. Feel free to leave us all the stars in the magical world of this movie and beyond on any platform that you're listening to us on. Hit us up on Facebook or Instagram. That's how we're doing it. And we're recording this one really close to when we would have been at the museum. So our next episode, hopefully we could tell you a little bit about talking at the museum. So hopefully people showed up and were like, hey, museum folk, let's give you a shout out. And after this episode, everybody, it's officially fall. So it's fall time, and it's going to be some October awesome movie time, and Jeremy's going to be flying in time. So we'll just die together and come back as the phoenix that we are.
Yeah.
But how's everyone's view on this movie? Wizards.
Collin, you suggested it. Why don't you go?
Wizards.
Yeah. So coming back, I still really, really liked it. I think this is something that would be super interesting to do today, just because it was such an exploration, kind of like the mixed media kind of aspect of it, of the meshing a whole bunch of animation styles. I think you could totally do it, maybe with some minor character design changes.
Mm-hmm. Like if there was like a big titty cartoon woman and like say Brad Pitt, it would work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. More scantily clad elves.
Yeah.
Not just the fairies.
There's more scantily clad elves. Gotta note that
Wait,
down.
are you saying if this was live action?
No, if you could reanimate it today, you know,
Nice.
if Netflix was doing some animated thing, and they could just bring this back and try again.
Just give it a second chance.
Yeah. It was ahead of its time.
All right.
I think this movie has an ebb and flow of genius to it. I feel there's clearly the illustrations and the backdrops, the people in charge of that, they are just insanely talented. There's a lot of story here that is such a weird thing to think about, because I think this is almost a mesh of genres that most people would never do. And you're looking at contemporary genres, you're looking at a war film, you're looking at really technology and magic all coming together, and that's in a lot of video games and stuff, and this is just a very different take and very different illustrations for it. So I really overall like this film. Jeremy noted it's like watching art. That's how you would have to view it. He said that I think a podcast off air at some point in time, and that's how I take it. Like if you kind of know that going into it, and I've seen this movie before, I still think it holds up.
Yeah. I think this is like a gold mine for like an undergraduate film majors paper.
Course, yeah.
Like it really pushes a whole bunch of dichotomies we didn't even really touch on, like how the like good land, their emphasis is generally in like explicitly abstaining from technology, and is super focused on like tradition and kind of religion, whereas the technology side we see is a lot more has a lot more not that. They have the slavery and prostitution and that, all that sort of stuff.
Wait, I have a question for all of you.
Sure.
They noted that magic and technology have been outlawed. Where? Everyone's using it.
So
yeah, like everyone's using it at all points.
I think technology is like outlawed in the fairy place.
Yes.
And magic is outlawed in Storch or whatever the fuck it's called.
Scorch One.
Scorch One.
But they seem to be using both, right?
Scorch One, yeah. Well, so I mean, Blackwolf obviously has magic.
Yeah, but he's in charge, so.
I think it was more like, some level of oppression of being like that he definitely wants to be like the number one magic user.
Because I was going to say, the fairy folk, out of the gate, they're using magic. Like you take 1 foot into their realm, and they're using magic against you all up in your face.
Yeah.
I love the fairy folk.
Yeah, I didn't get that that they were both outlawed. Was that mentioned at the beginning?
It was. I think it was Avatar sitting in a chair talking to Elinore's father.
Oh, he was drunk off his ass and high off of whatever.
It was straight up right before Necron shot him in the face.
Oh, okay.
Or the daddy in the face.
Sick.
Yeah, he was trying to talk policy. And the first guy that Necron 99 blasts, he's talking about how talking about the tradition of the fairy folk and how we don't like technology. We really want to support each other with love or whatever. But it's kind of religious malarkey.
If you want to catch a fairy, you got to use sorrel.
That's true.
That's actually one of the ingredients in a spell.
Jeez.
So, boom. That's your trivia for the day. I am clearly saving Mike for the last. Lamar, you're in. Boom.
When you first watch this movie, it's pretty jarring at first. You got to get in 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to just stabilize, witness that this animation, it's not dated, it's just different. If you grew up with 90s and 2000 animation, going back to the 70s, something different from Disney, it's going to be a little weird, stylized, where walking and moving motions are exaggerated, and it's kind of emphasized by the comical character proportions of the, everybody has weird limbs, but they move kind of odd. I don't know, like a Dr. Seuss character, I want to say. It's a good story. It's kind of a weird story. It's war between two kingdoms in a fantasy setting with a twist. It's goblins and orcs with mutant Nazis versus fairies. What can I say? And there's a lot to say about the metaphors being used in this movie. I'm not too familiar with the director's works outside of Fritz the Cat, which I saw when I was really little. I was too young to understand what was going on. All I knew is there's animated titties, and I had to get in on that. The last thing I'll leave for this movie is it just requires the right amount of alcohol and drugs to really get into it. Not that you really need to do that to enjoy it, but if you have those things on hand, it will help out a lot. Mike, outside of...
Dun, dun, dun.
What did you think of this movie?
You guys are all expecting me to... I don't know if you picked up on this, but I kind of like this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned at the beginning you liked Fire and Ice and some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mentioned I liked 2 of this director's other animated movies. I like Heavy Metal. I know that's not him, but kind of the same idea. I don't know how this movie escaped me. If I had seen this movie late 80s, early 90s when I was kind of getting into this stuff, I would have fucking loved it. And I'm sure I would have liked it more now if I had been introduced to it earlier. But no, overall, I thought this was really fun. It strikes a weird dichotomy because the animation alternates between super dope and kind of goofy. The music alternates between awesome and terrible. The voice acting, some of it is great and some of it's duh, hey, Dark Wolf or whatever.
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's kind of all over the place. But it's really well done. It's very interesting. I wish Nazis weren't I didn't think having them be Nazis helped anything. I thought that was just kind of a weird insertion, but I guess I don't know. It was a different time.
Yeah, so a late 70s view.
I guess you got to think about when this movie was made, World War II was 30 years prior.
Yeah.
Still potentially culturally relevant, especially for the person making the film. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking about that too.
Yeah, but for me as a viewer now, it's if they weren't Nazis, it wouldn't have changed anything and probably been cooler. But
yeah, I think it was 100% only a mechanism to be recognizable and kind of scary to just move everything along.
Yeah, with all the exposition, they didn't want to have another conversation about what these guys are up to.
Sure.
So just make them Nazis. We know what that is. But yeah, no, this was fun for me. I would recommend anyone who likes this kind of thing to watch it. I've seen that Lord of the Rings movie 80,000 times.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's honestly, I think it's worse than this. I've seen it more. I started at a younger age, and it's subject matter that I'm more familiar with. So it was, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It was on TV a lot, I guess, or maybe I had a VHS tape of it, but I saw that movie a lot.
Somehow, some way, when you were young, you saw that.
It was in my sphere somehow.
When I was young, it was always on TV as well.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
It's required back in the 80s and 90s.
Damn right. Wow, we did it. we got Mike to like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Mikey likes it.
Colin picked
Mikey
a movie
likes it.
purposefully because he thought I'd hate it in new, fun ways. And I ended up liking it.
Well, no, it wasn't that I thought you would hate the movie. It's that I wanted to give you new things to gripe about.
Okay.
Nice.
I like that.
And I definitely wrote in my notes the things that you often have complaints about that you would not complain about in this movie.
Like what?
Things like the story and plot are clear. Mm-hmm. The characters have clear motivation. And yeah, the characters are reasonable, and their actions are based on those reasonable motivations. Yeah.
All right.
Those are things that make terrible movies that didn't occur in this.
It's crazy. This episode didn't have enough hate, Mike.
Yeah. Well, we need to take a little break after.
It was a break.
Yeah. After the curve. But, we're back on track with me enjoying myself again. So there we go.
I told La-Mar my current hate with the with television, and this goes to all the terrible people doing terrible things to writers and actors and not paying them, and now shows are being canceled. And I think one of the most brilliant modern shows is The Wonder Years, and it was just canceled, and I think that is a huge mistake. And I was very apprehensive. I'm a huge fan of the original Wonder Years, and I was very apprehensive of this modern this alt telling, and I thought it was genius, and I thought each episode got better. The dad, Dule Hill, is amazing, and if people have not watched that show, they should, and that show should be petitioned to be saved. Go save the Wonder Years.
Out of all the reboots and rehashes of shows from the past, I want to say the Wonder Years is one of the better ones that the industry has done over the years.
If you're gonna do it like that, I have no problem whatsoever. If you guys are unaware that the Wonder Years is a different story in a different state at the same time, told through a predominantly black family's lens at the time, and it's connected in ways to the Wonder Years, but more spiritually that, hey, there's another part of the world in the United States that we need to examine. It wasn't all just like white bread suburbia. I thought every episode was so well written, so well written. I cannot say that enough.
Do you know why it was canceled?
I do not, and I just have to assume a lot of it is just, people are now looking in the scope of, well, if we gather and we film stuff, it's going to be 2025. I mean,
that's reasonable. Like, everyone's taking a big shit on Drew Barrymore because she was trying to go ahead with her show.
Yeah.
And so you just can't.
I love Dule Hill. I'd totally watch this.
I don't know who that is, but...
Do you hear about Pluto? That's messed up, man. It's a gag from Psych.
Yeah.
I don't know what Psych is.
It's another great show. You should totally watch it.
Okay.
And so you have not seen The Wonder Years?
No.
I believe the director is the same as well. Like, the overarching director is the same.
I'm in.
Yeah, but it's canceled, but you should watch all the shows that exist. So good. The dad is so good. I'm so angry about that. But
sorry to hear that.
To bring it out of that anger, we are going to be examining so many fun Halloween movies, and Mike can't complain because Mike's a joint decision maker on all of these films.
Yeah.
But,
well, we're gonna watch ones that are good this year.
So, there's some you haven't seen, so don't.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
But yeah, we're going to watch Maximum Overdrive next week. So stay tuned, and that's going to kick off our first fall episode. We're going to be joined by our guest Ryan, and Ryan's going to tell you all about beers to drink and why Maximum Overdrive is amazing for many, many reasons. So yeah, stay tuned. Listen to us, guys. Got any final words? Any advice? Any advice, as every show and movie is going to be pushed back to infinity, which rightly so. People should be getting paid. But things are going to be crazy. Stranger Things coming back in maybe 2025.
Those kids are going to be fucking 30.
Yeah, that's crazy. My wife is super bummed, and so many are, that my wife loves Abbott Elementary. And I read somewhere they were like, maybe late 2024, maybe. And I was like, oof, so many people love that show. I don't mean oof at the show. I mean just like oof. Like, Like that. That's why I think a lot of these potential shows are now just like, you know what? If we're gonna go that far, we're canceled. We got to do other stuff. We got to plan differently.
That's probably what it is. We got to buckle down for like another couple of years of reality shows, I guess.
Or just AI generated animated trash. I don't know.
How dare you?
Think about that. The future of television for the next couple of years is really just up in the air.
The future is podcasting, friends.
It is, and we're in it.
Believe it or not, we don't utilize any writers.
How dare you?
This is unscripted.
I am looking at a blue squid right now. And
don't look directly into it.
I looked in. Do you look into that octopi's eyes?
No.
Look into the octopi eye.
You'll see how you die.
Do you see? It's looking side eyes at La-Mar.
Oh God, it is. Okay, that's enough of that.
He's gonna follow you home.
And he's trying to grab you. That's what you get.
No.
As always, take it in the ear.
Take it in the what?
Rabid troop size.
Oh wow.